Billy Jane?
What are you doing out here
Boy!
running around with all this diseases out here, bad diseases, and people dying?
Boy!
Yeah, they're dying like dropping around here like flies.
No, come on, Uncle Bill. For surely to God you don't believe all that.
Well, I do. Don't you?
Listen, me and you supposed to be 6 foot apart.
Well, you better get out there in the yard then.
We're supposed to be 6 foot apart. Julie wanted me to come up here and take another picture of you to see if you're all right.
Judy who?
Julie.
Oh, Julie. Oh, she's in California where the bad place is.
I don't know about the bad place.
That's where the Democrats live, and that's bad.
You know, you run into one person and they talk bad about the Democrats, and you run into another person, they talk bad about the Republicans. Who do you believe?
Well, you believe what's going on, what's being proved. Donald Trump is doing a good thing in there, but they don't believe it. He's done more than any president we've had in the last 20 years.
He's done a lot. He's done more for our military than anybody, any president that I've ever seen.
Guys that's been in there, old Biden running now, been in there for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
He ain't done nothing since he's been in there.
I know.
When he was in there under Obama, they wouldn't let him say nothing, because every time he opened his mouth, he stuck his foot in it.
I know. Well, it's a mess.
You got a different car?
Yeah, I got a different car.
Is that a Honda?
Yeah, Honda.
Is it tore up too, beat up, like that?
No, I don't have stickers all over this one.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to go kind of inclinito.
Well, the other one was beat up on the sides.
Beat up on the sides, had stickers all over it.
Yeah, looked like some tramp going down the road.
Oh. No, the last time I seen you was right around, was it,
I have no idea.
remember the holiday?
I don't know.
It was a holiday, remember? Was it Father's Day?
4th of July? Or,
It's been about, what, 6 months ago?
gosh, I don't know.
You was ranting and raving about how that they had moved the toilet tissue. And I thought to myself, my God, he's sure enough raising Cain now, because now they don't even have toilet tissue after the time you go in there.
I don't know why people jumped on the toilet paper to start with. They ought to be jumping on the food. If they don't eat, they don't shit anyhow, do they?
That's right.
They won't need the toilet paper.
Well, besides that, this disease ain't got nothing to do with
Toilet paper?
with toilet paper. It's got to do with your lungs.
What this afraid is going to get quarantined in and couldn't get out.
Probably.
But people got crazy. They're going panicking, got crazy.
Well, Uncle Bill, I can't do nothing about it.
It's in this country here, there's people dying natural every day. And all these people that have been dying, they've been claiming they're dying with this virus we've got. And they're not doing it. They're not dying with it. A lot of them ain't.
I don't know. They pretty well got it proven.
Yeah, but see what they're doing is they're claiming that to die with that virus, they get money from the government.
Valentine's Day was the last time I was here. That was in February. February. Remember, I brought you a Valentine's balloon. That's been about 3 months ago, Uncle Bill. I bought you a Valentine's balloon.
Okay.
Put you all over my Facebook page and stuff. Told people how much.
You got a piece of hump toy on your front bumper right there?
I tried to glue it with some of that 2-part epoxy, and I just had never sprayed no paint over it.
What do you mean glue it?
2-part epoxy.
The way it come apart?
It had a hole in it. I think the guy
Why
must.
you put some bubble gum in it?
I think whoever it was got too close to one of those concrete pillars and run up over the thing. These cars, they're made out of banjo, and you could hit a daggone bird with one of them and almost total the thing out. Hit a cat or a big dog and activate the airbags on the thing. We just ain't living in certain times like we was back years ago.
What car is that?
That's a Honda Accord, 4-door. 1999. Only had 175,000 miles on it.
Gosh, wore out then.
And for that year model car, that's considered a low mileage car.
Gosh, when I was buying used cars, the car had 100,000 miles on it, I'm only going to buy it.
Well, those cars are noted to go 400,000 or 500,000 miles.
I know that.
Now that one may break down tomorrow, but it gets about 30 miles a gallon. It's got a V6 in it. It's got all leather, all the whistles, bells work in it. Sunroof works in it, and I don't have a daggum payment book underneath the seat for $400 or $500 or $600 a month. Some of these people making daggum car payments now for $800, $900, $1000, $1200 a month. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
A car payment. A car payment.
My old Buick get 30 to 35 miles a gallon.
Don't believe it. That's a Alkalite. Alkalites ain't never got that kind of gas mileage.
That Buick's always got good gas mileage.
Is it a Century?
That ain't a Century. That's a
Skylark?
Well, Sabre.
Oh, it's a Sabre? Yeah, they're pretty good.
V6.
Oh, it's got a V6?
Yeah. This car's right there's always got good gas mileage. All of them do. Flying body.
Julie just loves you to death, man.
How comes that? I don't even know the good one.
Because you are the last remaining closest gene to her grandfather. Her grandfather would be your brother, would be Charlie. Charlie would be her grandfather.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know a thing in the world about Charlie's people pertaining to Aunt Patsy, and that's one reason why that I stopped here today. Maybe you could bring some sort of clarity.
Well, who? With who?
Patsy.
Patsy. I don't know anything about Patsy. The only thing I knew about Patsy
Gumphrey.
was her mother.
Gumphrey.
Huh?
They was Gumphreys.
I don't know what the last name was.
Gumphreys.
Okay, anyhow, Patsy and her mother was the only two people that I know, and they stayed together till Charles and her got married, and then that was it. And that's all I know about her. I don't know anything at all about that woman. I don't know anything about her mother. I don't know if she had any brothers or sisters or anything. When Charles and Patsy got married, they lived in a house with a small town. Then they left.
Lived in the house. Where at for a small town?
Kenton.
Oh, in Kent.
Kenton, yeah.
And this would have been probably right after World War II, give or take.
Gosh, I don't know. It was. I was about 20, 21 years old. I don't know.
And you done already moved up to Chicago by that time, right?
I didn't go. When I got married, after I was married 6 months, I moved up there.
Okay.
Charles was already up there.
Okay.
I come up there and I stayed a couple of nights with him till I found an apartment and a job.
I got you.
We worked together, Bobby, me.
Jesus! Did you hear that?
Yeah, that's a gravel truck dunking something that back tail did apart when he laid back down. Bobby and Charles and me all worked at Body Craft at one time. Well, Charles, he quit. Went something, I don't know where he went. Well, one long Bobby, he left. I don't know where he went. I stayed there. Are you?
Recording. She wanted to listen to this.
I don't like to be recording anything I do.
Well, she wants the family history.
Well, anyhow, Charles, he left. I don't know where he went to. Bobby left. And finally I left and come home. Charles was always down here. He was working at the sport place. Bobby, don't know where he was. Bobby and Betty, they went out to Waukegan out in the, out.
Fox Lake, Round Lake, up in that area.
Right.
And y'all never did pursue towards going up there and visiting with them up there in Fox Lake?
We went a time or two. It was about a 50-mile drive out.
Did you like that area?
What part of it? Yeah, it was all right. It was kind of country-like,
Yeah.
And then Charles and Bobby, they all went to California. And they just lost. Bobby and Charles all they left. They just left.
I thought it was Dad that taught y'all how to do body work. because he picked it up during World War II, got it off the GI Bill, and he had a body shop over there at Midway in between Union City and Martin.
I don't know about that.
He was working body shop there.
Me and Bobby worked together at the Ford Place Trenton Motor Company in Trenton for a while. Bobby left. Well, I learned body work on my own then after that. Bobby kind of got me started at it.
Okay.
But Bobby worked at Parkview Motor Company for a long time.
Where's Parkview Motor Company at?
That was in Union City.
Oh, okay, that's right.
It was there in the bus station and everything, and something's all together.
Right.
Parkview Motor Company.
Parkview Motor Company.
And then Bobby got the job at Trenton Motor Company, and something turned up he needed some help to do something at that Trenton Motor Company, and I went to work there, helped him do some work for a while, and he quit.
What did you do before then, Billy Jean? Was you
I was
just
a
a
farmer.
farmer?
That's what I am, farm.
You herded cows and
No, I grew we call cotton and corn and strawberries, stuff like that, row crop.
I see. So you knew Mr. Wade personally?
Wade
Mr. Tommy Wade?
went to school with Tommy Wade.
You went to school with Mr. Tommy Wade?
Yeah.
How about Mr. Bill Sanderson?
Don't know nothing about him.
How about the Shottses? Did you know anything about the Shots?
Shots and Gabe and all them shots.
Where'd they come from? New York or somewhere?
I don't know. They had this clothing store, clothes, shoes and stuff there on the corner there in Kenton. I went in there one time to buy some shoes from old Abe, and he brought out a pair of shoes, and they was too big, and he looked at me and said, "Bell, hell," said, "your foot ain't big enough." He talked with a...
Was she the one that had some sort of a intuition or a vision or something like that, his wife, that Jesus Christ was supposed to have originated and come from Kenton, Tennessee?
No, they told on her that she had a child she wanted to have Jesus. And that's
She what now?
They told on her that she ever wanted to have a child, she wished it would be Jesus.
Oh, she wished it would be Jesus.
They didn't believe he had ever been born.
Oh.
That was the tale that was out now. That's what I got out of it. It might not be
She
true.
was wanting her child to be the true Messiah because at that time they didn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah.
Yeah.
Well, the true Orthodox Jew to this day still don't believe
No, they don't
that
believe
Jesus was the Messiah.
They don't believe it.
Now you have the converted Jew
Yeah.
that believes that Jesus was the Messiah, and then you have there's another pretense to their culture, like the updated converted Jew that does believe in Christ but still wants to practice a lot of the old traditions as far as the Feast of Tabernacles, unleavened bread and stuff like that, the days of trumpet and stuff like that. I don't forgot now what you call those Jews, but there's like 3 different sectors of Jews.
Yeah.
So you do remember the Shotzes.
Yeah, I remember Shotzes. Abe, and I don't know. I remember Abe's name. I can't remember the rest of his name. See, they own the cotton gin there too. Wade on the cotton gin and Shots on the cotton gin.
Right. Did you ever go through Hop-In, down through Sidonia, Hop-In,
I went
back whenever you was a teenager like
I
that?
had to go through. I had to go to Sheridan from Kenton.
Okay, do you remember the Lim store down there that was in between Hop-In and Sidonia?
Yeah.
Did you ever stop in there and get you a Coca-Cola or anything?
No.
Oh, come on.
No. It was. You said the Sim store?
No, the Lim
There
store.
was a Sim store there too.
There was a Sim store, that's correct. That was down at Hop-In.
Yeah.
Then there was a beer joint down there. You
Yeah.
remember the beer joint?
Yeah.
That was Simmons. What
Yeah, I
was
remember.
what was his name?
Who? Dan.
Dan Simmons. Dan and Sue Simmons.
She married Susie Goff.
Yeah, she was a golf.
She was a Goff.
And they
Jerry-
adopted that boy, Danny D.
Jerry Goff and.
You remember Danny D?
No,
He stuttered a lot.
No.
But Bill, how you doing, Bill?
No, I don't remember.
He'd stutter a lot. How about the Reynolds brothers? They're in Sidonia. Did you ever stop and do any business with them?
No,
Or Tonkin Elliott, the Elliots?
no.
Never done no business with them?
No, I just kind of went through Sidonia.
Lord, you didn't stop for nothing, did you? You must have been frightened of those
The only
people.
time I stopped there is when Bobby lived there. He lived out, y'all used to live there.
Yeah.
In Sidonia, in that area there.
Yeah, in that area.
Yeah.
Was you scared of the area?
No, I just didn't have time to stop.
You're a businessman.
Yeah, I was going on a date then. I didn't have time to stop.
You was courting.
Yeah. I had court on my man.
Did you know that your wife's sister is still living?
Well, yeah, two of them are still living.
They're still
Three
living.
of them.
They're still living. Do you believe that?
Yeah. They're all old like me.
The one that married the Undertaker, every now and then I'll see her up there in Martin.
Yeah.
She don't ever have a whole lot to say to me.
Let's see what she ain't right. She's got some kind of old timers or something. She's not right.
Is she smart?
Well, I don't know. She used to be pretty smart, but in the last 20 years, she had cancer. She had breast taken off, and then she got this dementia or Alzheimer's or what.
Well, she don't say nothing, does
Well,
she?
she don't say nothing to nobody.
Did you know they closed that mortuary down?
Yeah. Yeah.
Said it was unfit to bring the dead people in there.
Yeah.
How can a building be so unfit, Uncle Bill, that it's unfit for the dead? How can that be? If you're dead, you're dead. What difference does it make whether or not you meet all the wiring requirements?
I was trying to think of who that man's name was, and I can't.
Robinson,
Huh?
the guy that owned the mortuary place, Robinson.
No, he wasn't Robertson. No, he wasn't Robertson.
Robinson had a big deal to do over in Sharon now.
I know, but that didn't.
Those was the money people.
Because Gerald is renting a house from him now that owned that thing.
That's right.
And I can't think of his name. It might have been a Robertson, but Robertson owned the place, and he owns that house that Gerald lives in now.
You ever know Mr. Mount that owned the IGA store there in Sharon?
No,
Never knew him.
I didn't know many people in Sharon.
All right, let me ask you this: we had some kin folks that was kin to us on the Jordan side that had a restaurant going between Kenton and Rutherford. Was it JW or something like that?
There was some JWs, but we wasn't kin to them.
We was kin to them
Y'all might have been. But
on Jackie Rex. You remember Jackie Rex?
Jackie Rex, yeah, I remember him.
Okay, it was over there with the rings. Kin to the rings, Jackie Rex
Had a restaurant.
had a restaurant over there.
Where?
I'm thinking that it was between Kenton and Rutherford. It may have been just outside of Kenton going back towards
Is
Union
that in the
City.
country? You mean
This was 25 years ago.
yeah, it was in the country like the rest.
Yes, yes.
I don't remember no restaurant.
There was a restaurant down there, and we supposedly was kin to them.
Damn close to where Turkey Lane is or something like that?
No, I
You
don't
know
think it
where
was.
Turkey Lane was?
Uh,
You said we seen Kenton and Rutherford.
Yeah,
Turkey Lane, you know where that was?
I do.
Yeah. There used to be a store there at Turkey Lane, just right there on the, is that hill?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a store there. I don't know if it's a restaurant or I never did stop there. There's some kind
See,
of
Dyer has dried up since you left.
There's nothing.
Well, you know why, don't you? Because they built that interstate around it, that bypass.
No, that wasn't it.
Yes.
The mayor, they got to do them dummy mayors in there, and they didn't try to get nothing for the town. When Dr. Robertson quit being mayor there, the town started going down right then. Because he all the time got grants for the town. He went to Nashville. This old boy that's the mayor now, he don't even know how to run a town.
Does he know how to get a grant?
No, he don't know how. He don't know nothing about it.
I bet him a time or two.
Well, he ain't know. He's just a young little old kid running around there and dying. He didn't have no sense.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Well, you know, they put that big bank there.
yeah. That's right. All they got in there. There's a big old bank.
That's about all they got, isn't it?
Yeah.
Other than, what is it, IGA or E.W. James or whatever it is down the road.
There's a little old bitty store there before my shop was.
Right.
That's all two businesses.
Well,
They used to be 4 or 5 gas stations in Dyer.
Right.
Grocery, furniture store, hardware store, theaters, everything was in Dyer.
Okay, you remember whenever you started going around that corner, you know, as you go up that hill, you started going around that corner?
One of those old Holden Ridge Bridge, you mean?
No. I'm talking about right there in Dyer. As you're leaving Dyer.
Going towards Relevant?
No.
Trenton.
Going towards Trenton.
Okay.
You start going up that hill. The restaurant on the left, what was it? Toot and Tell It? Used to be a restaurant right there called. Used to be a restaurant right there called Toot and Tell It. Just basically right across the street from Toot and Tell It was a Korean woman that cut hair.
I don't know that. I didn't know that.
She cut hair, had a little old hair shop right there.
I didn't know it was a Korean woman cut hair.
That's where I got hooked up towards talking to her husband, towards starting to do some construction work at the age of 15, building houses. I didn't work for the guy, but maybe, I don't know, it was probably about a month or so. He was hardcore, didn't have no leniency about trying to train nobody.
You sit down in that chair, it's got a lot of that old green junk in there. This is probably it too.
I'm good. But anyways, we was trying to drive nails in masonite. Have you ever tried to drive nails in masonite?
It's hard to get them started.
Huh?
It's hard to get them started.
Oh, I kept mashing my fingers. And he would laugh. It just make him.
If it's a little bit springy, you can't hardly get it to go.
I could not do it like I should do it, and I got so mad I walked off the job. I said, that guy's meaner than Bobby Jackson, and I didn't think anybody could be as mean as Bobby Jackson. You know Bobby Jackson, right?
I never did know.
You never knew Bob?
No.
He was pretty brutal at times.
Yeah. I always thought Bobby had a problem sometimes.
He definitely had one. It's called PT, post-traumatic stress disorder, coming from the military.
That's where I thought he might have gotten in a little trouble.
Well, he had a hand grenade blow up
Yeah.
that killed his best buddy,
Yeah.
and he caught some shrapnel from that hand grenade, and I'm sure it probably gave him some sort of concussion.
Yeah.
He got injured, and I don't know if you ever knew this or not, but he lost his whole platoon.
No, don't. Yeah, it seemed like I did.
His platoon up in Washington State that he trained under, which was called the Chiefs, they went into D-Day whenever he wound up having some sort of a medical emergency.
Yeah.
And he lived while this whole platoon died. And I think he felt a little guilty about that. It's called guilt syndrome.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't long after that I started working for Wayman Jewell. Wayman Jewell and Jimmy Jewell and Buddy Jewell.
Okay.
Buddy Jewell's still living. He lives up there.
Still living?
Buddy's still living, doing fine. Drives a nice truck, keeps a nice home, keeps himself looking nice.
I know Buddy. I know all the Jewels.
I worked for them for probably 2.5, 3 years, hanging still, until I fell off that 4-story building. Where was you whenever I fell off that 4-story building?
I don't know.
Lord, I was all banged up. I was living over there with Dad. I just got through being married and had that boy.
I don't know where I was at.
You was still in Dyer doing body work.
What year was that?
That would have been in 79.
79. I wouldn't have been since 74.
That's right. So you was humping and bumping, man. You was making money. You was all about money at that time.
Yeah, I had a family to raise. Yeah.
You had a nice house. You drove nice cars. You had nice boats. Go to the daggum lake and come back with 500 crappie. Don't lie about it now. I know good and well you did. You caught more crappie than anybody in the lake.
Yeah, I don't even fish now.
Well, you should.
I don't have time.
What you got time to do other than sit in the easy chair and debate about the Republicans and the Democrats? You can't think about that. That stuff would drive you crazy.
Around the house to do. When I go out there fishing, it gives me clean out. I don't even feel like eating when I come back in. It just gives me out.
How do you stay so little?
No,
You're probably asking me, how do I stay so big?
I have no idea.
Have you ever thought about asking me that question?
Well, how do you stay so big? You eat a lot of this, don't you?
put away a lot of calories. No, they poisoned me up there in Kentucky. They put me on that Risperdal that causes obesity and breast enhancement.
Yeah.
The government poisoned me. Your government, sir, poisoned me.
He's good government.
Good government.
I just,
Ain't nothing wrong with the government. It's just a few people in the government. You know what? Ain't nothing wrong with the government.
yeah. I have to do all the work around here. Everything being done. I have to do all the bookkeeping. I'm getting where I can't spell. I'm getting where I can't hardly see.
You need one of these smartphones. One of these smartphones right here will teach you everything, how to spell, how to do everything that you want to do right here.
You know
Right
what?
here.
I don't want to
Right here.
I got enough to keep up with the plans.
Listen to me. If you had a bunch of trot lines set out there in the water, you could go out there late in the afternoon. You could get you up a heap of fish, rebait the hook, pull out there early in the morning, and you could recycle that every morning. Grab you up 25, 30 fish.
That's work.
In the afternoon, grab you up another 25, 30 fish.
Don't have the time to do it.
Well, you told me that the fish ain't worth eating, that they got some kind of a damn disease.
I don't know.
Some kind of a lead poison or something.
No. They got
Lead.
no
Mercury.
Mercury. You got mercury, and they got PCV in them too.
You'd have to eat 15 pound of fish a day.
Well, they said not to eat them, but they said not to eat them, but black once a month.
Who said that?
That's what they said.
Tennessee Wildlife Health Humane Society said that?
I don't. That's what I heard. I don't know. But fishing is work.
Fishing is an art.
It's art and it's work. It's like anything else. You got to work at it. You can't go out there and sit around and look around. You got to keep your mind on what you're doing.
Well, can I give you a bit of advice? Next weekend, it may do you some good if you got you a hotel and just got plumb away from here.
I'm not going to go nowhere. I'll just sit here in the house.
I'm telling you right now, the crazies are going to be out.
Yeah, I know that.
And they're going to be out full strong because a while ago, I tried to go in down there at that campsite and I was addressed by the owner. He said, "What kind of business do you have down here, sir?" I said, "I'm a visitor." He said, "Well, who are you visiting?" I said, "I'm visiting everybody." I said, I'm driving around and I'm looking and I'm eyeballing and I'm taking notes and taking down names. He said, "You take your vehicle right there and you turn it around and you go back the other way." He said, "This property down here is not open for the general public. If it's not open for the general public, you leave the same way that you come back."
Well, since this fire started to come up, they don't want nobody coming in or going out.
They're marshaling this situation down here. So you're going to have crazies down here.
Yeah, well, I don't get out during one of those days. I stay in the house.
Do you?
Yeah.
How's Lori, Reba? How's the family doing?
Last time I seen them, they was all right. It's been a while since I've seen them.
Well, the last time I seen you was Valentine's Day. Have you seen them since Valentine's?
No. Since this virus thing come out, they don't want them to come around me. They said they don't
That
want
was
me
just
around.
about the time that whenever the virus thing come out full strong. It was just about February the 14th.
It come out, and of course Laurie,
Did you?
she's working around a lot of them.
Oh, that ain't good, is it?
See, that's her job though. She X-rays people.
That's right. She's an X-ray technician, isn't
She's
she?
X-ray and ultrasound.
She does ultrasound too.
Yeah. And she
What's
has to-
ultrasound for? For babies going
Yeah,
into the
for
belly?
babies, and it tells them if you got cancer somewhere.
Or a tumor or
cancer,
something?
Where X-rays don't show up cancer in lungs and stuff.
How long she been doing that now? About 35, 40 years, hasn't she? She's made a full-time
Well, she
career
got
out of that.
school. She went. She took that schooling. You know, she got.
And one of her daughters is works for animals, don't works
Yeah,
for
She's some kind of. She's not veterinary. She's something else. I don't know what it is.
like a veterinarian's assistant or something.
And
Where
Blake,
does Lori work at? Down in Jackson?
Yeah. Blake,
Down there in
he's a-
Madison, Jackson Madison Hospital?
No, clinic.
General?
Jackson Clinic.
Jackson Clinic.
Blake, he's a diesel mechanic.
Blake's of Decent County. She only had 2 children.
And Jeff, he works for the school down there too. He works for school. He's the maintenance in school.
Okay. And all Reba's bunch, I guess, hooked in with their business over
Yeah.
air conditioning and heating and cooling, right?
They're all okay. They're situated good.
Well, do you know that building that you've done body work in? That's, Reba still has a part of that, don't they?
Yeah, they own it.
They own
bought
that.
it from me.
Yeah. They just more or less just use that for storage, don't
Yeah,
they?
it's storage. Well, that's where they started their business, and then they got big enough they had to get out and do something else.
Right. I go to Trenton quite frequently. I go down there to YMCA at Trenton.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people that knows them down there. They got a good business down there in Trenton.
Yeah.
Trenton, Humboldt,
Yeah.
and I guess they make a little bit of rounds up towards Jackson. They got a full fleet now.
Yeah.
They got what? Probably a dozen trucks.
I don't know. Got quite a few. of them.
Got quite a few.
Yeah.
Quite a few on the payroll, huh?
Yeah. We got about 20 people working.
Yeah. Probably do what? About $1 million, $1.5 million a year?
I have no idea.
$2 million a year?
I have no idea.
Well, I bet it's on up there. Like a body shop.
They got a big overhead too.
You know they do if they hiring 20 people.
You put all them vehicles on the road and you buy insurance for it and keep them vehicles going.
Rubber and tire and gas and maintenance and insurance and taxes and
Lots of overhead.
lots of overhead. That's the reason why whenever you call one of them up, it costs now, what, about $75 just for a service call. Just for them to come out and see what the problem is.
Gosh, yeah, I go to the doctor up here and it's $100-something. Just going there and say, hello doctor, well I just want to get a check. We'll see you later. $100-something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've already done outpriced ourselves, don't you?
I don't know what it is. Well, you know, when I was a kid growing up, I said, stuff can't keep going up. It just can't do it. But it's no end to it. It ain't no end to it.
And of course, as long as they keep making that fuddy-duddy money and keep throwing that out the White House door on giveaway, you know, they give away $2.8 trillion, and now I think they've just recently passed another $3 trillion stimulus. I mean, who's going to pay for all that, Uncle Bill?
The taxpayers. They got to pay it back.
The working class
The
people?
working people are going to pay it back.
You gonna throw that kind of burden upon your children and your children's children and your grandchildren? Huh?
For 80.
You gonna throw that kind of burden off on the innocent lives?
Man, listen, many people that is in this country paying taxes, that ain't no money. They got money coming in you can't keep up with. There's number 2 scooping all day long. Coming in from paying. In the gas, everything's taxed. Gas tax, $1's taxed every time you spend it is a tax on it.
Well, they claim that whenever it's all said and done with, by the time you get through paying all the taxes coming in and all the taxes that you pay going out, you know, groceries has got tax on it. Don't have as much, but it's got taxes on
It's
it.
just got anywhere from
But
7 to 9
but they
cents.
claim by the time, let's say you make $100,000 a year as a couple, which today ain't no money.
No, $100,000 don't buy much no more.
No, but let's say you making $100,000. They claim that about 55 to 60% of that you pay either for taxes or insurance towards money that you basically lost that you don't never recover. You don't never recover that money. So in essence, if a couple's making $100,000 a year, really and truly, they're only making about $45,000 a year, because the rest of it is going for insurance and taxes and interest and all the above.
See,
I don't see how they live.
I'm paying taxes on my house. I pay insurance on my house. I pay taxes on my insurance on myself. I pay taxes on my 2 cars, and I got insurance on everything I own.
Well, you told me last time I was here that your taxes went up on your plate.
Well, yeah, it goes
Here
up.
in Henry
Always
County?
go up.
Huh?
Taxes always go up. They're not going down. They go up every year. My health insurance goes up 2 or 3 times a year. My car insurance goes up.
Your car insurance should stay the same as long as you ain't getting out here having wrecks.
My car insurance goes up.
It shouldn't.
When I get a insurance, with car insurance, you're either too young or you're too old. If you're too young, it costs more.
They'll
If you're too
penalize
old,
you.
It costs more.
Right, they'll penalize you. Well, you're not in the young state no more. I got
No,
that
I'm in
straight.
the old class. And a lot of insurance companies, everybody 80, 90 years old, they won't insure them.
That's discrimination.
That's discriminating, but yet they do it.
See? Because they're the ones running the show. The rich man, the powerful man.
Always the rich man is running the show. The poor man can't do it. He ain't got no money to run it with.
Well, how old are you now?
Huh?
What kind of age you got on you now?
I'll soon be 87 this coming June.
What year was you born?
1933. $1,000.
You and my mother was the same age?
No. Your mother was older than me. I was the youngest in the family.
What year was she born?
I don't have no idea.
She was about 2 years older than you. She was born 31. And Dad was born in 26. She may have been born in 1930. She may have been 3 years older than you.
So Charles was the oldest, she was the next, and I was the next.
Right.
$1,000 is a lot of money if you ain't got it.
That's right. It is. But $1,000 don't go nowhere
It don't buy
nowhere.
nothing, but you owe it, it's a lot of money.
If you ain't got it.
Right.
Sure is. So whenever they go to running up and down the roads here with all those 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers and drinking and smoking pot and getting high and stripping off all their clothes and just basically turning this thing into Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's what they do, they turn it into Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah,
What do you basically do? Run off there in the building, run off there in the living room and just hide?
I just sit in the house, go down there in the building sometimes. Well, it's going to be 3 days. It'll start on, what, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Probably
Monday.
Thursday.
Uh,
Probably Thursday. Some of them are already here for the weekend.
well, they're on vacation now. A lot of them on vacation.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that's not working, they got laid off on account of this virus. And they say that half of the business is not going to be going back in business.
Well, don't you think that's going to cause the bankruptcy courts to go berserk? Don't you think people are going to file bankruptcy on all this stuff going on?
Well, yeah, they can't pay. A lot of people just live from paycheck to paycheck. You know, if they skip a paycheck, they in trouble.
You was fortunate enough, you made enough money for you and Betty May whenever y'all was living that Betty May didn't have to hold down a job.
Well,
She was a homemaker.
Yeah, she took care of the kids.
She took care of the kids and took care of the home and stuff. Made sure the food was cooked, made sure the clothes was washed, and made sure the house was done up. But you can't live that way no more, Uncle Bill, unless you've got a silver spoon put in your mouth and you're a banker or you're an astronaut or a doctor or a lawyer or a politician or something. You can't live that way no more. It takes 2 people to make a living.
Sure it does. And then you can't hardly make it. There's 2 people working now to get by.
It's awful, isn't it?
Yeah. And you ain't seen nothing yet. You just wait till you're still around another 5, 16 years.
Uncle Bill, you keep telling me that every time I come here. And it, sure enough, it gets a little worse every time I come here. I'm going to quit coming here because you're jinxing me.
It ain't gonna get no better.
You're jinxing me. You jinxing the world or something. You're jinxing us to the point that every time I come here, that's what you tell me. It's going to get worse, then. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Things going to get higher. Things going to get worse.
It's not gonna get better. The Bible says it ain't, so you believe the Bible, don't you?
I believe the Bible says that there'll be a great falling away, and I believe that we are already in that and have lived through that. And I also believe in the book of Acts that in the last days that there will be a great revival and that the meek shall inherit the earth and that we will see peace and utopia before the end of time or before the opening of the second seal.
You're talking about another time.
No, I'm talking about a revival that will escalate into a revolution. A new revolution to the point that people will no longer be handling cash. We'll move over to a cashless society.
Well, we're fixing to move into one world of money is what's going to happen. That's coming.
One world government?
One world of money. We got all the money going to be the same. this debt that we owe in this country right here is not ever gonna get paid off.
No, it can't.
The only way it's gonna get paid off, we're gonna start all over again.
That's gonna be it. They're gonna have to.
If you got $200,000 or $300,000,
They're gonna have to default.
You might get $1,000 out of all.
They're gonna have to default, start all over again with a brand new system. My question is this: is the second system gonna be better than the first system, or is it gonna have just as many gaps and as cracks in it as the first system did?
Things is not gonna get no better. I mean, it's gonna get worse.
Not if there's a revival,
The people,
a real revival.
the people's got no respect for nobody no more. Respect's not taught no more. They don't know what respect is.
They don't know what truth is.
No, they lie. They talk to lie. They think it's okay to lie.
Yeah. They think it's okay to steal.
The Obama, the whole time he was in there president, he lied.
He about ruined us.
He lied to get in there.
He
lied
about
to
ruined
stay
us.
in there, but yet he got away with it.
He about
He
ruined
got a
us.
pass.
He about ruined us. He almost started the Civil War. They took the Dukes of Hazzard off TV. I'm going to pledge for the Dukes of Hazzard to come back. I think the Dukes of Hazzard needs to come back to
A lot of
TV.
old planes come back, but they're not going to do it no more. They're gone. I watch a lot of old stuff on TV. I got a couple of channels. I watch them old Western movies.
Yeah.
I watched Gunsmoke. I watched that.
Rifleman.
Rifleman and all them old, all of them dead now.
Yeah. But that's back in the way back in the
Gosh,
in the
back
day.
60s and 70s, see.
No, back whenever they was actually living those days out. That was back in the day gum.
Well, that's when the movies I'm talking about come out.
That's when the movies come out. But
Yeah.
but if you picture the movie according to the lifestyle, that was probably back before the Civil War,
Oh yeah, back in the 18s. A lot of it was in the 18s.
17th century. Back when they were still butchering Indians.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the way that they done the Red Man?
Well, no, I don't agree with you killing nobody. You know,
Trying to colonize the Red
The
Man?
Red Man was here first.
Yes,
The white man just come in here and took it over.
the Europeans, the people from Europe,
Yeah.
come over here. The Redcoats. And to this day, we're still fighting them. You
And
know
the
it?
British kept coming.
We're still fighting them. You know it? In some form or fashion, we're still fighting.
That old song says the British kept coming and grabbed an alligator and fought another round.
They're still trying to dominate us. You know it, Uncle Bill?
Yeah. The country's in a bad shape. This thing won't get no better because it's gotten worse here since I've been leaving. It's not in the same world that I grew up in. It's a different world.
You know what automotive stuff costs now for a gallon of paint?
See what now?
You know what automotive stuff costs for a gallon of paint that goes on these automobiles?
Yeah. I bought a quarter. It cost $129 for Jason's truck. $129 for a quart of paint.
Is that insane or what?
The clear coats and stuff is $400 for a gallon of that.
What'd you ever do with this motorcycle?
Chris, he gave it to Chris for a dime.
Chris got it? And that's Reba's boy. The oldest?
That's the only one.
I thought she had two.
She don't have one child.
And he works down there at the,
He works there, right.
what kind of bike was it? Do you remember? Was it a Honda or Harley or what?
It was a bike that we made.
A bike that we made.
We made the bike.
Well, America makes Harley Davidson.
That is a Harley Davidson part, but we made it. It was made from the ground up.
It was. You was probably scared to death he was going to wind up losing his life on that bike, didn't you?
Now, he had that thing souped up to do about 170 miles an hour.
Good God.
He had to hook the front feet on the front pegs to hold on to it when he opened it up and hold on the handlebars and get blowed off.
Good God.
It had 85 horsepower to rear wheel. We put a 6-speed transmission in it. We went through the motor, put all high stuff, had the roller rocker arms in the motor.
Right. Had it balanced, blueprinted, all that.
All of it was all souped up. The
Good
big
grief.
stuff in it. They sat there and bounced off the ground real lively and sat there and bounced.
Why did he want something that powerful?
He just wanted it.
Where do you think he got a hold of that cancer at? Do you think that come from him working for those power line people down there in Trenton?
Possibility. I don't know where it comes from. So he went up there and worked in them oil fields for a while in North Dakota.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he worked up there in North Dakota.
He did.
And then he come down here and worked in Texas down there. Not in Texas, Oklahoma, oil fields.
Who did he work for down there? Do you know? Do you remember?
In Oklahoma,
Was it Chesapeake or
Oklahoma.
Devon, or do you
Huh?
remember? Do you remember the name Devon or Chesapeake?
I don't remember the name.
Halliburton.
He drove an independent truck up north. He made about $500-600 a day.
Yeah, they make good money.
And a friend of his, he also died of cancer of the head. He worked.
So it may be some sort of characteristic there, huh? Related with the oil industry, huh? Because that's
It
crude.
was cold up there. Wind factor 50 below zero.
But that's crude black oil coming out, isn't it? And they get exposed to that. Get it all over their skin, get it on their face, get it on their
He
clothes.
got all over his clothes everywhere.
Yeah. There ain't no way of not getting it on you.
While you're around it, you breathe it, fumes from it.
Sure.
He had to load it in the truck and go unload it into a great big tank.
Well, you must have got lucky and not got exposed to isocyanate poisoning, because you're still here. You ain't got cancer pertaining
I don't know why
to.
my lungs just ain't all the pieces. I breathe all that paint.
I know.
Never did wear no mask.
Centauri, and what else?
Well, you had to.
You had Centauri at first.
Yeah, you got Centauri.
That was lacquer.
The chroma base paint.
Chroma base, acrylic lacquer, acrylic enamel, and you probably sprayed some Imron.
Oh yeah, I sprayed it on.
Wasn't that some hard paint? The sand, Imron.
Yeah.
Good God, you almost had to have a gravel truck to sand that stuff, didn't you?
It's hard. It's real hard. Of course, this trickle's hard too. It's the same thing. It's the same as
Polyurethane.
Yeah, it's a polyurethane. It's hard.
But have you ever read some of the words on the back of some of them cans? They're big long words. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, man, I hope I don't get none of this. If it's got a word that long, it's got bound to be some bad stuff in this stuff.
But
You know it?
you spray them old cars and all that, and you pull it all together and it stick.
Yeah.
Stick. You gotta clean it out with thinner.
Your boogers would stick together in your nose to the point you couldn't even breathe out your nose.
You have to clean your nose out with paint thinner than a rag.
Yeah. Yep.
I breathe all that junk. I don't know why I'm
Got it all in your skin. Got it all on your skin.
Got it everywhere.
Spill paint on your arm, on your hand.
If you wanted paint, you had grease on you.
Yeah. So it's 1,000 wonders you didn't wind up getting cancer, Uncle Bill.
I may have it and don't even know it.
May do it. And you know what? If that'd be the case, I don't want to know that I got it. Do you?
They claim everybody's got it, really. It's just some part of your body quits working and then it takes over. That's what they told Vanderbilt.
Really?
That some part of her body, something quit working, and then the cancer took over.
I didn't know that. And they claim that just about everybody's got
Yeah.
cancer in their body?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Everybody does?
Yeah, it's just human stuff.
Well, it's 13 after 5.
Gosh, yeah, it's time to go to bed.
You still cook for yourself?
I sure could.
Or you got a maid?
No, I could do my own cooking, my own cleaning. I do everything. I climb on top of the house, clean it off.
You still-
I played once.
You still take, that ain't hard to do. You still take care of this man's property? What's his name?
Who?
This guy here? From
J. Ray Hobbs? Yeah.
J. Ray Hobbs from Kenton?
That's good.
He's the guy that's got one arm?
No, that's his brother.
That's his brother. Well, don't he live over there next to his brother?
I don't know where his brother lives, but he lives out in the country, J. Ray does. He got a farm, he got a big old farm.
Yeah. He wound up making it big in the farming industry, didn't he?
Yeah. Of course, I've known J. Ray all my life.
You have.
Yeah. He don't ever come up here.
How did, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. How in the world did Lucille, your mother, ever get involved with Billy Holloman?
I have no idea. I didn't know she's even involved into the stolen automobile.
My God, he sat down there every night and
I
ate
know
her
he
out of a
did.
house and home.
I didn't know it.
He
though.
would stand up and eat. He'd eat that cornbread and buttermilk every night. That and a big piece of pie
I don't know why.
every
she
night.
took up with him.
He would slip in just about 5 minutes till 10, just about the time the news was going to come on. And he'd watch news and he would eat standing up. And of course, he got in cahoots with your brother. And I guess he must have had a slew of those stolen cars down there at his house and a sack full of money that I was told that somebody stole from him
I have no
before he wound up getting in trouble with all those cars.
I have no idea.
Joanne remembers him very well. Joanne, that's Julie's mother.
Yeah, I know.
You know Julie's brother died, Johnny.
You told me that. But I don't remember him at all. I know, but he's been around the kids. They live.
Yeah.
Charles, he was long. He didn't stay very long.
I didn't realize that he lived such of a big life. He was looked up to, wearing nice suits and ties and cowboy boots, and could play good pool and had nice $1,000 rings and drove Cadillacs and Lincoln Continentals. He lived a big life, didn't he, there for a while? But he also paid for it too, didn't he? He wound up going to prison for about, what, 3 or 4 years. Turned in state's
Well,
evidence.
He went to prison when he was a teenager. He was 17-year-old.
I didn't know about that.
He went to Missouri. That's the only time he's in prison. He got mixed up. He went up north, and he got mixed up with the wrong people. He's just a kid, and he didn't know what he was dealing with. And he got put with driving cars for somebody, and they're stolen cars.
Yeah, stolen cars.
Yeah. So they caught him and the rest of the people.
He turned in state's evidence against the mob up there, and they put a hit out on him. Did you know that?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, they put a hit out on him.
And then he went to prison.
He thought that they was going to get to him in prison, kill him in prison.
He stayed, I think he spent about a year in there.
No, he spent more than that. He spent about 3.
Well, he's on parole after he got out. He stayed in about a year. And then
He
he's on
kept his
parole.
nose clean though after he got out. But you know what, Miss Lucille, your mother was right. She said they'll never look at us in this town the same. And sure enough, they punished all of us because of what Charles done. And that's part of the characteristics that you get from a small town, living in a small community,
They all know what's
where everybody
going on.
knows everybody. Yeah, everybody knows. And the whole family has to be punished because of what one outsider done.
Well, he just got mixed up with the wrong bunch of people up there.
Yes, he did. And that money looked good, huh?
Yeah. And
Temptation of that money.
He didn't really know they're stolen until he got in there doing it, and then he realized they're stolen cars. It was too late.
But he was living a high life up there, you know it.
Oh yeah, he's making money.
According to Joanne, they'd pack up and leave and wouldn't even bother about taking any of the furniture. They'd just pack up and leave and go somewhere else, buy up a bunch of new furniture. That's kind of like Sonny Davis that lived over there where we was at, that had both his arms burned off, that got that big settlement. You know what they would do? Whenever the kids' clothes got dirty, they'd throw them off down there at the river. And Miss Sweat would go down there and gather up the clothes and wash them and let her kids wear them because Sonny
Sweat.
That was Miss May Sweat. Now she's a Norman, but she used to go down there and get them.
Was that Ginger Sweat's mama?
Probably. She's about 93. She's your age, a little older than you.
No, that ain't Ginger's mama. Ginger's mama was older than me.
Who I'm talking about was married to T.C. Sweat, that had that junkyard down there in Hopin. See, there was 2 junkyards down there in Hopin. Bill Warren had the one as you was going around the corner.
Yeah.
After you passed the store, the beer joint. There was a
TC had a place.
T.C. had a daggum junkyard.
I didn't know that.
And supposedly T.C. took his own life. Well, she's got remarried.
Yeah, that
And she's still living.
yeah.
She can tell you some horror stories about what went on in Kenton
I knew
and
Junior.
Hop In
So
and
Junior,
Beach Ridge.
Junior killed his daddy
Right,
and shot him.
right.
She come in beating up on his mother, and he just shot him.
Well, the whole family was full of violence. There was violence in that family. I don't know if it was a mental illness.
Junior, I knew him real well. He was a pretty good boy.
He was.
Yeah, Junior was a pretty good boy. He worked. He was a good worker. But now, I didn't know the other sweats. I didn't know them. But I did.
They had a reputation at one time.
Junior was a good boy. We
Like
run
you
around
said,
together.
whenever you live in them little old towns, everybody knows everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you know Leroy Neal?
Leroy Neal was a cousin.
How did you know him,
Jim
though?
Ring and Callie, Leroy's mother, was brothers and sisters.
Okay.
I knew Leroy and Virginia and Bobby all their lives. Because we used to live together a long, long time ago.
Up in Chicago or down here?
here? It kidnapped them down to Texas Dance.
So you knew Leroy's dad?
Yeah, Luther, yeah. Yeah.
What was he like?
Luther was a good fellow. He was an easygoing guy.
Really?
Yeah. Never heard him say bad words or nothing.
Huh.
Callie was a pretty big woman.
Yeah. That was Leroy's mother.
Yeah. That was Uncle Jim Ring's sister.
Uncle Jim, Big Jim Ring's sister.
Uh-huh. They were brothers and sisters.
All right. Where in the world did Lily Ring come from? Was Lily Ring?
Lily was my mother and sister. They were sisters. They weren't half sisters like Maybelle and Rustin Bud. They were half. Aunt Lily was the full sister.
So in other words, your mother and Aunt Lily was manufactured by the same husband, which was Mr. James.
Yeah, Paul James.
Paul James
Right.
is the one that originally brought Lucille Jordan into the world, where she
Right.
didn't become a Jordan until after she got married.
Right. And Mama's mother died when she was a baby.
What, just an infant?
I don't know. All I know, she just told me that her mother, she don't remember her mother. She died when she was a baby.
Well,
And see, Paul, he remarried.
well, Miss Lily was older. She was older than Miss Lucille,
I guess, I don't know.
or was they twins?
No, they weren't twins, no. I don't know. One of them was older, but I don't know which one.
I'm thinking Lily was.
She probably was. See, Uncle Jim and Aunt Lily were cousins when they married.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Distant cousins?
I don't know, you know. That's a long time ago, and you know, we didn't talk about family stuff much when we was kids growing up, you know.
Why? Why didn't you?
We didn't know no better. We just lived.
You got to do more than just live.
No,
Life's important.
we had to work. We worked some.
And I still don't know where
some,
where Mama Lucy's original mother was buried at.
I have no idea where
That
she.
bothers me. That bothers me. That bothers me.
I don't know where she's buried. I don't even know where her daddy was buried.
James is buried right there in front of her.
Paul James,
Right, Paul James is buried right there in front of Miss Lucille's
No,
headstone.
no.
Somebody James there.
That's James Homer and Dale, and that's all the rings. See, Daddy and my mother's buried right there with the rings, Jim and Lily and all of them
Right.
there.
But that ain't her daddy?
No,
Where's her daddy buried at?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know where the grandmother, the granny was buried. I think she's buried right there at the cemetery.
She lived to be 104 years old.
Yeah.
She's buried right there in the
I
same
think
plot.
That's where she's buried, yeah.
Yes.
Now, I remember her. She died when I was probably 14, 15, 16-year-old or something.
Really?
Yeah.
That young?
Yeah.
But you still remember her?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, I sure would like to find out where she was buried at, where the family's buried at. And it really bothers Julie. It really does. It bothers Julie because it's part of her roots. And she's got a right to know who her people was. She's got a right to know. Do you not think that she's got a right to know who her family is? Julie, out in California.
Well, I guess she's got a right if she wants to look into it.
But don't you think the girl's got a right to know who her roots come from?
Well, yeah, she probably has, but you know, back when I grew up, people didn't keep up with stuff like that.
Why?
They just didn't do it.
They didn't think each other's life was important enough to keep up with?
You know, over in Korea, people born over there, they don't have records of how old they are. That's kind of back to where we were.
So you looked at your family members as it being nothing but a statistic, Uncle Bill?
You don't understand. You don't know what went on.
I know it was hard times. I know it was rough. I know it was poor.
That was back in the Hoover days, you know, and everything was bad. People couldn't get nothing to eat.
Prohibition.
And gangsters were mobs going and everything.
Well, do we not have them today? Gangs?
They're more up to date now than they were back then. They just walk in a place in a town to shoot it.
Back then?
Yeah.
See, you was up in Chicago whenever they had some bad things going on up there.
I'm talking about when I was a kid. I didn't go up in Chicago until I was 21 years old.
Well, what if you was a teenager up in Chicago? You think you'd got killed?
I don't know.
That was back in Al Capone days, right?
Yeah, I went to that theater where he was killed at.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you ever go in that old house that we lived in Al Capone? Used to dwell there, where the place that had the two big silos, where the milk barn and stuff was. You just went to the Round Lake, that place in Round Lake, didn't you? You remember Jerry Madison, which would be Aunt Ruth's son?
Jerry Madison, no.
You don't remember him?
By the way, Bobby's sister and all them, are they still living?
They're all dead.
They're all dead. All the Jacksons dead?
All of them.
All of them dead.
Except me and my son.
Where's your son?
Now he's close.
Where's
Lee,
he at?
I can't say. Leon Jackson's son, Maxie. Maxie's still living. Him and his sister, Norma Faye, they're still living.
Do you not talk to your son no more?
We're kind of on rough terms because of all the involvement with the government and stuff in my life, CIA stuff. He feels.
Where was he living last that you know of?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Well, is he far away? Is he?
It's fairly close.
Fairly close.
He operates a $3 million piece of machinery.
What kind of machinery?
It's a
crane or what is it?
It's like a type of crane. It's a concrete pumping truck. It's got 3 axles on the back, 12-foot outriggers. Got a boom on it about 270
how old
foot.
is he now?
He's right at 50.
Really, that old? Huh.
Because I had him
Well,
whenever.
where's his mother at? Is she living or what?
She lives in Memphis.
Oh, she lives
She's
in
still living.
Is she married?
She's still married to the Arabs.
Who?
To the Arabs.
I don't know if she-
Arabs is who raised my son.
Oh, okay.
I thought you knew that. You didn't know the Arabs raised my son?
No, I didn't. No.
Arabs raised my son, Uncle Bill.
I didn't know it.
He can speak Arabic.
Well, that's good. But he don't believe in Jesus, and does he?
You know, I question that, his relationship with the Lord. I really do. He makes both claims, you know, because
Is he a Muslim?
No, he ain't actually a Muslim, but he went to Catholic school.
He ain't Hindu, is he?
He ain't Hindu. He went to Catholic school, and as far as I'm concerned, some of your Catholics are just way out there.
Well, there's Christian people in Catholic.
There's Christian people in Catholicism. There really is. But all in all, whenever you get to looking at Catholic